The production of this program is made possible thanks to the support of the following and viewers like you. It's challenging to know how the tourism industry in British Columbia is going to be affected by elbows up nationalism, says Chyanne Trenholm of Homalco Wildlife and Cultural Tours, a First Nations tour operator. She goes on to say, I can tell you we are seeing an increase in interest and in bookings. Just how much business will be up this summer, a little too early to tell, but business is up. A move to unique tourism experiences such as Indigenous wilderness adventures is in line with changes in interest in sustainable and culturally authentic vacations. Trenholm says the Homalco First Nations takes visitors on a once-in-a-lifetime adventure. They see grizz salmon fishing and orcas breaching right in front of their eyes as an eagle flies overhead. It's simply breathtaking. The benefits of Indigenous tourism include cultural preservation, reconciliation, and jobs. Trenholm says more than 7,400 people are working in direct, full-time Indigenous tourism jobs. The sector generates more than $700 million in direct economic output. I invited Chyanne Trenholm of Homalco Wildlife and Cultural Tours to join me for a conversation that matters about Indigenous tourism and its benefits to all of British Columbia. Chyanne, welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Where are you located, and what's the name of your company? I know that I've introduced it, but what is the name of the company?
Yeah, so we're in Campbell River on Vancouver Island, and our company is Homalco Wildlife and Cultural Tours.
How long have you been in business?
We've been in business for over 20 years and started in grizzly bear viewing in 2001. And recently expanded into our own marine tours in 2021 and are celebrating our 5th year of marine tours this year.
How important has been the building of this business for your nation?
It's been extremely important. We, operate as a social enterprise, and as such, we are all for our profits, but alongside that is the education for our members and for our visitors, the reconciliation benefits and economic benefits for our nation and community, and connection back to our culture and territory.
So it has had very positive impacts within your own community.
That's right. We've seen a great impact in our identity. Myself, I'm from Homalco First Nation and grew up not really having that sense of identity. And it has been through tourism that has allowed me to tap into that, as well as, be able to share this with everybody else. And for the team members that I have, it's not just my own story, it's their story as well, in how we are kind of coming home and learning about ourselves and learning about our territory and our culture and our history as Homalco people.
It's interesting that you know that by doing this work, it has sort of transformed your own understanding of who you are and your own culture. Can you give me a little bit greater sense of like what that journey has been like for you, and how by being involved in this tourism sector, it's really helped to enrich you and others in your community?
Yeah, it's a really special piece into what we get to do. And I kind of share the story that I'm learning myself, is that before tourism, before I got involved in around 2018, 2020, I didn't have a very good self-identifying of who I was. I didn't know who I was. I felt a bit lost. I always knew I was Homalco, but our culture with all the effects of colonization and the impacts of that on our families has been devastating. And it's been through tourism and the connection back to the land and the language that I've built up this, I think, self-identity piece, this pride piece in being a First Nations woman. And through that, things have snowballed, and it's been definitely a benefit for me. And I've seen it for some other staff as well. I can't speak on behalf of them, but I've seen it with my own eyes of people becoming more confident in what they're doing on a day-to-day basis, and really coming to their own.
The production of this program is made possible thanks to the support of the following and viewers like you. You touch on something that I think is really important. You talk about confidence. How important is that sense of, okay, I can do these things and I have value, and how important has that been to you?
I would say it's been extremely important, and having that support from my nation, from my family, to do what I'm doing today. It hasn't been an easy road. It's been very challenging in being confident in who I am, being confident in the position that I have right now, and just knowing that what I'm doing is for myself, but it's also for my community, and that's what kind of keeps me going when times get tough, and it's every day is different, and it's been a journey getting to where I am today.
Yeah, but it's a valuable journey, and it's one that the tourism sector has, helped you to touch upon. Just a little sidebar here. Going back, maybe about 15 years ago, I was up at the Okanagan Band offices and doing some interviews with some young people who had gone through some training programs, and I asked one of them, what's the greatest outcome of this training program for you? And he said, increase self-confidence. And just as you're saying, but he had what is, I think, one of the most incredible quotes that I have used thousands of times ever since. I said, so why is confidence so important? He said, well, once you have it, it's like wildfire. You have no idea where it will take you. And really that is what it's about, isn't it? The belief and faith in oneself to be able to say, okay, we've done this, where do we go next? So if you take a look at Homalco wildlife and cultural tours, you said that you've grown from doing, first of all, just like grizzly bear tours, and now you've got a marine section. Where do you anticipate that the business is going to grow?
It's a fun question, because tourism and what we're doing as a social enterprise is kind of like sky's the limit. People ask that, and I'm like, I don't know. We have several different roads we can go down, all these opportunities, and it's seizing those right ones that are the right time, the right moment, and the benefit for the community. I would say that our biggest opportunity is within cultural tourism. And what I mean by that is that wildlife is here, the nature is here, and we get to do that already. But we also have this next step of cultural tourism that will be in parallel with how we're learning, how the nation's learning, and how we can share that with visitors and share that with our community as well. And it's like, as we're learning, we're building up our community, and at the same time, we're able to share this with visitors from around the world and share our story, share our true history, and step into our own. And not a lot of other operators are able to do that. And so that's kind of our competitive edge, I would say. And, there's other opportunities of lodge-based, hospitality, and, heli skiing, heli hiking, getting into our territory for trail developments, kayaking, more marine style tours. Lots of opportunity, which is really exciting and kind of daunting at the same time.
So for somebody who's watching right now, they're going, okay, what does a cultural tour look like? What would they experience?
So we have one already happening, and it's our People Waterland Cultural Tour. And what they can experience with a tour like this is learning firsthand from an Indigenous guide the stories, the history, significant place names, the names of specific animals in our Ijutham language, so they're learning the language of the land. They get to experience our culture tangibly with making cedar bracelets. Cedar is known as the tree of life on the coast, and they're able to make a bracelet, learn the origin of cedar, and take it home with them. So they get to hold on to something from the coast There's opportunity in the future for singing and drumming and dancing and showing that to people, but also letting people participate in some singing and drumming with songs that are shared publicly, and immersive experiences.
What about food? There must be a
Yes.
food element to that as well. And what does that look like?
Food, that's a good important one there. And it's interesting because our last village site of Church House, and there was an old saying, anyone who visits Church House, the tables are, they never leave hungry. And when the tide is low, the table is set. So there's a huge food component that we can tap into with harvesting, with feasting, with harvesting food and sharing it with community. So, perhaps you're out harvesting and 50% goes to community, 50% comes to you, and you get to, that food element is something that we've been talking about for a few years and is something that's definitely of interest to people.
The production of this program is made possible thanks to the support of the following and viewers like you. So you talk about a social enterprise, that the company is a social enterprise. How many people are benefiting directly from the jobs that you've created?
Are you talking about for community?
Yeah, for your community, how many people are benefiting directly from the tourism jobs that have been created by your company?
Yes. So this year we'll have about 30 employees. Half of those are Homalco. So about 15 people are from the Homalco community and have been benefiting from tourism since its inception, since 2001, with getting jobs, getting training, having that sense of pride being built up. And so I'd say about 50% from Homalco, and we have some other members who are from different Indigenous communities as well as local people who aren't Indigenous or perhaps from somewhere else. And it's really about that cross-cultural sharing. So we're all moving in a direction of similarity with how we are protecting the land, how we are creating jobs.
Well, we're living, and I think at a very interesting and pivotal time in seeing the change in relationship between Indigenous communities or First Nations people and the rest of the country. There's no point in denying it. First Nations have been shut out. But now the world is changing, thankfully. But as you point out, tourism, and especially the cultural tours and what the industry brings, it brings an opportunity for you and non-Indigenous people to spend happy times together. And what role do you see tourism playing in the reconciliation story in Canada?
I truly believe in partnerships and relationship building. And if you go to any Indigenous community, they're going to tell you the same thing. It's about a relationship. It's going to take time. It's going to take effort. It's going to take humility to learn about yourself, regardless of your identity, as well as learning about the people that you occupy this land with. And when it comes to tourism, there's a lot of good companies out there already doing that work in a sense of trying to incorporate the Indigenous identity of the lands that they occupy and they run their tours on. And that's through land acknowledgements, that's through place names, that's through incorporating some of the language. That's already happening, and it's a good vessel to use with tourism because it's such a human interaction and human contact that that allows that to happen.
Can I just ask a point of clarification here? You're talking about some tourism operators that are not Indigenous based, but they have started to include and acknowledge the role of Indigenous people in the lands that they are functioning and operating on?
Yes, so there's some operators like within Campbell River, for example, who have done that and are.
But they're non-Indigenous firms, right?
That's right. They're not Indigenous. They are, they're they recognize the importance of the Indigenous peoples on the land, and I would say it's still a very new concept, and also understanding the dynamics of Indigenous First Nation community relationships with each other. Like it's all very dynamic, and I don't think there's any right or wrong way to do things. But yeah.
So it's good that those companies are doing that, but really you want to have an experience with like a company that is owned and operated by Indigenous peoples.
That's right.
Yeah, and so the difference to somebody who's saying, okay, well, this company over here is trying to give me that overview. Why is it so important that we really focus in on an Indigenous owned and operated firm, if that's the truly authentic cultural experience that we want to have?
Yeah, and that's a good point there, is that when you're getting that authentic experience, it is those stories told by the people of the land. That's a key piece to Indigenous tourism, especially within BC and Canada, is that it's our stories told our way. Now, there's ways that people can talk about our history and our stories in a way that is from an educational standpoint, but realistically, it's not going to be the same, because it's not coming from the people of that land. And so there's just like that disconnect, I would say, that is what we can provide as a Indigenous operator with First Nation staff or Indigenous staff.
The production of this program is made possible thanks to the support of the following and viewers like you. So you are on the board of an association that represents a variety of Indigenous operators. What does that association do to help to be able to promote this sector of tourism?
Indigenous Tourism BC is a champion for lifting Indigenous operator voices. I would say that through marketing efforts is a significant one. I know with our brand and how we've been growing over the past 5 years, it's been with that support from Indigenous Tourism BC to elevate us. And I think with the other operators within British Columbia, that it's the same thing. You know, there's a central place where all of us can be, you know, found on the different websites, but they're there to help us out through training, through marketing, through finding grants for money, through all of these little supports that do make a big difference when you're dealing with First Nation communities, because they also understand the dynamics of an Indigenous operator and the challenges that we can face.
What would some of those challenges be?
I would say, you know, access to capital, how that capital is divvied out over, you know, the span of a short term of 4 months to a year, through the, you know, Indigenous communities face socioeconomic barriers compared to other people, and they just understand it. They understand, I would say that, you know, people just need that little bit extra support when we're dealing with a challenged population. You know, we have a huge labor force that's not being tapped into because of just barriers that not everybody in Canada faces.
Right. But the association and the collection of tourism operators can help to provide opportunities for people to have meaningful employment.
That's right. Meaningful employment is the key one there too.
You know, when you talk about access to capital, I think a lot of people don't understand that Indigenous businesses do not have the same access to capital as non-Indigenous businesses. So how do you work your way around that?
It's an interesting topic, because I would say that if you're an Indigenous business that is owned by a community, you'll have access to a bigger pool of funds. If you're an entrepreneur, your access to funds are going to be very limited, and challenges that come with that. I I'm still learning a lot about the finances and finding the funds that are out there, because there's lots of money out there, but finding them, accessing it, and reporting on it, and all those steps, I think still need to be a little bit more refined to, allow us to find it. Because it's not always easy to find the funds that are out there. Because people are always saying, "There's money, there's money, there's money," but it's like, where is it? How do I access it?
Right. And then what's the process that you have to go through? How long is that going to take? Do you have the money in the bank to be able to get from here to there? It comes down to your ability to pay the bills.
Yes.
And pay your team.
And plan it properly too.
Right. So looking forward, and you look at the future of Indigenous tourism here on the coast of British Columbia, what's it going to look like 5-10 years from now?
I would hope that it's going to be just better, in terms of people are coming here to experience the cultures that are alive and well here. We're still not, solely sought after from international visitors to look for cultural experiences. They don't really know we're here and what's available. And I hope that a lot more First Nation communities are able to provide more tourism within their territories, and to maybe acquire tourism businesses, because when we are working through an Indigenous lens on business, we are more than just money. We're a social enterprise, typically looking in charge of the future. So we're looking for in the future for future generations. So what are we doing today that's going to affect the next generation? And so when you're looking at a 5-10 year plan, there's lots of improvements to be made on several different fronts. And I just really hope that Indigenous people are going to be able to find their voice, find their strength, and lead the charge through tourism, do it sustainably for both the environment, for culture, and really get our names out there that we're here. We have these awesome businesses, and help our people out, employ more people, bring people up into more leadership roles, and support our youth and learn from our elders is how I hope to see this industry as we move forward. And just acknowledging that we're here, we're strong, and we have lots of opportunity available. So I hope more communities are able to tap into that.
Well, with leaders like you, I believe that you're absolutely right. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you very much.